Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Once again, another actually different video today, or at least in this one because I'm posting like another billion videos today. But Samsung One UI 2 just recently got released, and it's funny because Samsung S10 just had a really weird problem. Samsung Galaxy S10 just had a really weird problem, and I'm actually probably going to end up doing this video the day after just to talk about that video today. It's a really weird thing. I don't really know what's going on, but I kind of want to talk about the differences between the Samsung One UI 2 versus the iOS 13 or iOS 13. Dude, my English is so weird today. And there's some similarities, there's some differences, but ultimately what I'll tell you is One UI 2 and iOS 13, I kind of think are like very similar updates in a way that, obviously they're not the same at all, Android versus iOS, but these two updates weren't like crazy, game-changing updates at all. They kind of brought some similar things for sure. But I want to kind of talk about the differences, some, similarities between them, and maybe if there's like a one-up that one might have over the other. But I'll definitely tell you, like I've always stated, this is completely preference. Android is, a completely different thing than iOS. There's pros and cons for both of them, so just kind of keep that in mind. Now, luckily, there is dark mode on both. On One UI, with the original one, we were able to get dark mode just by, I guess in the settings. I just learned that. I didn't even know that. But with iOS 13, we just got dark mode in natively through stock without having to jailbreak or anything. I don't really understand what Apple was thinking. I don't know why they took them so long to put that in, but now we have those two things similar, very similar. And with One UI 2, actually, they did the same thing that iOS 13 brought as well, where it dims out a lot of the system preferences as well, including the wallpapers, some app icons, even the front wallpaper. Kind of a little bit different, but iOS does the same thing, that if you have a dark wallpaper, the text will automatically change to light. And if you have a light wallpaper, it'll automatically change to dark. So really cool. I like that, intuitive. iOS has had that for a long time, but One UI just recently brought that in with One UI 2. Now, an amazing thing with One UI 2 is that, and it kind of goes in with Android 10, we now have gesture support. So I've simulated this yesterday. I guess I have to do it again today, but check this out, dude. Like, this is literally the same, almost the same exact thing that we have on iOS. And this is a huge thing. This is really, really great news. I'm so glad that Samsung is bringing this in with One UI 2, because honestly, in my opinion, I kind of didn't like the nav bar buttons really ever since like the Galaxy S8 when they brought it in. I always prefer the home button. Then when they brought that in, I was like, oh god, I don't want that. Now with the gesture-based design, I like that so much more for not only the intuitiveness and, just me being used to doing gestures on iOS, but on top of that, it's like the navbar buttons, the biggest problem with them wasn't that they were taking up space on the screen or whatever, but it was the burn-in. When you had a device, I've had many devices, many Galaxy devices with OLED displays, so many of those have burn-in on the very bottom where the navbar buttons are. That was so annoying. I hated that so much, and even with some Galaxy S10s I've seen, those have burn-in on the displays too, and those have only been out for like a couple months. So now we've actually now have a way for that not even to be an issue anymore. Now you're gaining back that little bit of screen real estate just when you're going through apps and everything. So that is really, really cool, and I'm so happy they're doing that. And I'll tell you, the gesture-based design, I don't think it's as good as iOS at all, at least not yet, but I still think it's very good in my opinion. Now, a really cool thing about the camera UI on both, they both were kind of changed on iOS 13, but a little bit later. With One UI 2, it's a little bit designed as well. It's more of like a refresh, but you still have all those cool little features within the Galaxy S camera, which is super awesome. However, on the iOS side, like I've stated, they didn't really do much, but funny enough, literally just like a day or two ago with iOS 13.2 Beta 2, they actually enabled you to be able to change the video resolutions within the stock camera app. So you don't have to go to settings every time. This is definitely a step in the right direction. Hopefully they can go and add more features eventually, but as of right now, I'll take what we can get. I think it's a really cool thing. Hopefully within the time, with due time, they will actually go and be able to, make things a little bit better in my opinion. But as of right now, I'm really happy that they even did that. There's now actually native screen recording functionality on the One UI 2. You have that functionality on iOS 13. You've had that functionality for a long time, ever since like iOS 11, I think. But with One UI 2, we have that capability, which I thought was apparently built in, but apparently not. So now you have that capability with One UI 2. Now, interestingly enough, this is something that a lot of phone manufacturers are starting to bring up now, which I didn't think they were going to, at least Samsung was. And I kind of forgot that even Apple did it because I'm so used to seeing it now. And that is actually your overall digital well-being and how much you're using your phone, blocking apps, being, focus mode and things like that. Now with One UI 2, they actually brought this thing called digital well-being, where it kind of helps you manage, you using your phone. Let's say you have to study for a test, you can block certain apps for a period of time, all natively through the settings app. So that's really cool. But iOS also brought that in with iOS 12, with their screen time functionality, and you can manage, you can see how much time you're spending on certain apps, on productive apps, on gaming, on this and that, social media even. And that's really cool. It allows you to see, what you're wasting your time on or what you're spending your time on. They always say, time spent having fun isn't time waste or something corny. I don't really remember what it was, but regardless, that's really cool. And I'm so happy that phone manufacturers are actually taking the step out. I mean, if you think about it, it's not like they're gaining any really purpose or anything by doing that, by adding a functionality like that, both Apple and Samsung. But it's super cool that they're thinking out for more than just, your average just trying to swindle money from you all the time. So seeing companies, bringing features like that is super cool, and I love seeing that. So as of right now, those are like the main things that I've seen that are different. From my day-to-day use, I've seen a lot of differences from just me using my overall device. Samsung Galaxy S10, I think, on One UI 2, my device running One UI 2, I think definitely sees the bigger difference in my opinion, because I'm so used to clicking the home button and getting into recents by clicking the button there and everything, versus now where we have to swipe up and getting into the gestures. I definitely like that so much, and that I feel like for my day-to-day use, I see a bigger difference using a One UI 2 device coming from One UI 1 than seeing an iOS 13 device coming from iOS 12. So I think One UI 2 is a pretty big upgrade, but also at the same time, I think it's very medial. I think it didn't bring like crazy things, but the few things that it did bring are super cool, and I love that so much. So that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit that like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it would mean so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. All those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate it if you guys could check it out. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.